Fidel Castro, when he died, as I'm sure you're aware, it's been in the news around the world, our prime minister here in Canada, he stood up in front of God and everybody made some pretty brash statements, kind of like, oh, he's such a nice guy, and I'm ever sorry that he's passed. And on behalf of all Canadians, I want to say that, you know, how bad we feel. Well, I'm a Canadian, and don't you ever, ever talk for me again, you little commie man, because you know what? Fidel Castro was a communist, and communists don't do good things. He lived a pretty good style of life, right? And the citizenry, not so much. I mean, people don't have any money. Millions of people are trying to get out of Cuba all the time. The good ones, the lucky ones, they get to Miami. The ones that aren't so lucky, they drown. They get tortured. They get put in jail. And the Prime Minister of Canada says, hurrah, this is a great statesman, and all the people over there love this man. How, you know, just whap. Somebody needs a whap here. I got to tell you, communism is a bad thing. It's a socialism in a hurry, because they're all related. And Trudeau is a socialist, and he maybe even be a communist. I don't know, but he's certainly got to get there. He's working his way there. I'm getting angry. Whole thing makes me angry. Canadians make me mad, and I happen to be one of them, because so many Canadians, particularly those of you in Quebec, go to Cuba. You support the system. I mean, you're enabling these poor people. Good grief. Stop going there. Stop spending the millions of dollars, the billions of dollars that you do every year, so that people can get worse. It's kind of like a drunk. You got to hit the bottom before you can get up again, okay? You can't keep giving a drunk a little bit of whiskey throughout the day, because all that does is just kind of teases them. It always keeps them in a stupor. And that's what's going on in Cuba because of you Canadians. And then you got the Prime Minister of the country that makes these things. Fidel Castro was a larger-than-life leader who served his people for half a century, a legendary revolutionary and orator. Really? You know, I recognize his tremendous dedication and love for the Cuban people. I guess he loved them. I love to put you in jail, and I love to break your legs. And, okay, the Liberal government now in Canada, they're also doing this to throw and open the door to voters of Canadians who don't live in Canada. Okay, there's about 1 million people now that will be able to vote, and they have no clue what they're doing. It's kind of like me working for a company. I leave, and 20 years later, I haven't been in the company for 20 years, and 20 years later, they send out a little note to me and say, would you please vote on where to put the lunchroom? How would I know? I haven't been inside the building for a long time. And now I get to vote about the lunchroom. That's pretty bizarre. You got all your left-wing commie actors down in Hollywood that say, I should vote. Why? You don't live here. Why should you be allowed to vote? You shouldn't be. You're a Canadian, move to Canada. I mean, and number two, you shouldn't be able to have 2 passports anyway. You should have a loyalty for your country. If you live in Hollywood, you've been there for 20 years, you shouldn't be allowed to still be a Canadian. Pick one. You can still live in Toronto. You can live somewhere in Canada. If you're going to be a Canadian, you got to live there, don't you know, in British Columbia. I'm sticking with Canada here today. The government there is saying, we're now going to divide all of our socialist policies to suit the day. And I'm talking about ICBC, which is the independent something. It's a car insurance place. It's a state-owned thing, okay? If I go and I'm old and I go get a car insured, and there's a young guy beside me and he's had 9 impaired drivings and everything else, his insurance is going to cost the same as mine. He's killed people and everything else, and I'm an old guy, drive slow. We pay the same. That's a socialist system. And they took my choice away, which of course is nothing worse than that. I go to insure my car, I don't have a choice. It's ICBC or no place, and in British Columbia. And now they're saying, hey, we've just decided that it's too expensive to insure rich people. So if you have a car that's worth more than $150,000, we're not going to insure you anymore. We're going to create or allow private insurers now to come into the marketplace to insure you. We just want to insure all the drunks and all the killers and all that stuff. Oh, equalization, don't you love it? You know, they do continue to walk among us. They do make me crazy. Why is that? I know why. This is because somebody voted for them. Somebody who wasn't paying attention. Big Brother, commies, stupidism, I repeat myself, that would be in Britain. Now this is what they're doing, and of course Canada is trying now to act like Britain. Left-wingism doesn't work. Politically, left is wrong and right is right, and everybody better wake up and maybe watch a John Wayne movie and you might kind of get it. In any event, this is what's going on over in Britain. Parliament now has passed a law It's referred here to as the Snooping law. It gives authorities from police and spies to food regulators, fire officials and tax inspectors powers, total power to look at the internet browsing records of anyone in the entire nation, okay? It's like a big open book now, no matter what you do. And they're hiring more people. They're creating employment, right? There's going to be thousands and thousands of new workers for the government. In Britain, of course, they get paid to do nothing that needs to be done, typical liberalization stuff. And now they're going to sit there and it's a digital age, and they're going to go through everybody's emails. Every email in Britain that you write from now on, some little government goof is going to sit there and read it. And they're going to look for what? Terrorism, I guess. But what about all the millions of people that actually write little notes to people and work notes? And now you're going to be called in and they're going to say, what did you mean by this? And you're going to say, excuse me, I wrote a letter to my daughter. What? Oh, no, but here it says this here and says that there. I mean, leftism is running amok. You got to stand up and fight this. Hey, see ya.